of the day, and I have the amazing Marilyn Alauria. I'm super excited to dive into this conversation. It is all about clarity and synchronicity and really aligning your energy with the direction that you're taking your business. And Marilyn and I have actually known each other for about 2.5 or 3 years. We became really great friends and colleagues during that time. So we know each other really, really well. And I'm excited for everyone here to get to know you too, Marilyn. We're going to have a really juicy conversation. So go ahead and take a moment to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit more about you and what you do.
Hi, everyone. I love Megan, so I'm happy to be here. She's great. Anybody who gets to study with Megan is super friggin' lucky, and I'm lucky to have her in my mastermind with
Aww.
me. We're peers, together. Yeah. So Marilyn Alauria, I'm a psychic medium, teacher, and coach, and I teach people around the world how to get in touch with their own gifts. Everybody has gifts, no matter what you consider them to be, and how to live a life from their heart and soul. And I teach business owners how to really create product and create businesses that really are aligned with their heart and soul, not in comparison energy. I believe that's what we're going to talk about today, and really how to stay with your authentic truth in yourself and promote your business from that place.
Yeah. And you know what? I think let's just dive right in, Marilyn. I think that it has become harder and more challenging for people to do that over the last 10 or so years. I mean, you and I have been in the online space for a while now. We've been in the coaching space, internet marketing space for a while. And when you just step foot onto social media and start scrolling, you don't need to scroll for more than 60 seconds. And you immediately are blasted with fancy photos, with messages, with Facebook ads. Click on a link, and now you're in somebody's funnel. And I think that it's so easy to almost like fall for, oh my gosh, I have to run my business like that too. Or if I don't have my sequence set up like this, or if I don't say the right thing in the right order to, make someone go from stranger to lead to prospect to client, then I'm not going to be able to make money. I'm not going to make sales. And I think what I've noticed really happening with people, and I have probably felt this way at times too, we start to stray away from who we really are. And we stray away from our passions and our authentic voice and our message. And then we are like super confused. So talk to us a little bit about this authenticity piece and really returning back to our authentic voice, our authentic message, why that's so important, and like, how do we do that?
Yeah, I love everything that Megan said, because when I started out my business, I was a reader, right? So I was a psychic medium. I was doing readings. My business was successful right out the gate. And then I got onto telesummits. So I was in with like a group of people in the spiritual space. And I found myself getting into a lot of comparison energy. The host would be like, well, what are you going to offer? Blah, 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 I offered this, and it really did well. And like, when I first was on telesummits, I did really, really well. And then I started getting into that comparison. I need to do this. I need to create a product for this. I started creating product outside myself, thinking this is what they need. This is what they want. Not what I really wanted to share, my passions. And it started taking a nosedive. Like I didn't sell that well. And it did for a while. And I was like, you know what? This is when I got back to who I am. And I also got really tired. Like I was like, this isn't the business I want to run. This isn't why I'm an entrepreneur. So what I like to tell people, there are a couple of things. And one of the first things is I have a formula called SAS. And the first S in SAS is subconscious beliefs. So what I would suggest, I'm going to go through 2 of them right now because of what Megan said real quick.
Awesome.
Really, and Megan knows this too, because we're in a master's together. And if our beliefs aren't lined up with our business, what we want to create, then we're going to keep hitting bumps in the road. So you want to make sure that you're consciously aware of your unconscious thoughts that are maybe not, that are halting your business, that are stopping your business. So it could be like, I know that I'm a really great reader, right? I was a great medium when I was doing readings and off the charts readings. But then all these people were coming out in comparison energy and competition. So I started getting smaller and I started making myself smaller. But I was aware of it, right? And it was also pushing me in another direction, which was great. But we want to be aware of our unconscious beliefs. If we're comparing ourselves to everybody we're seeing on Facebook, and it's not our truth, but we're letting that affect us, then that's affecting our business model. That's affecting the trajectory of our business model. The second thing I tell people is the A in SAS, which is alignment, and that's remembering who you are. And what I always suggest to people is to go back to the time, and I'm going to ask Megan this because I want to see what she says. What did you want to be when you were 5 years old? That's the age I come up with. Some people don't remember things past 12. It doesn't matter. What do you remember that you wanted to be when you were younger, Megan? So we'll take everybody through this little exercise.
Oh, cool. I'm excited. I love this. I love to play along. I wanted to be a teacher.
Great. And then you became a teacher, right?
I did.
Okay. So before we answer that question, why did you want to be a teacher when you were younger? What was the things about the characteristics, the traits that you really liked?
I mean, okay, if I think back, it's interesting because I was always really quiet and shy. But when you're a teacher, you are at the front of the room. Mm-hmm. And you are like the dominant leader of the room. And so I was really drawn to that. And I also loved helping people understand something that was really confusing or really complicated. And I loved helping people like get it, but get it in a way that they could understand it and then go do something with it. Like that is like my all-time favorite thing to do. Just like simplifying really complicated things so people can go unleash whatever they want to go unleash and do that thing. That's what I loved about it.
So, and that is in your business today. That's who you are today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And so that's what I want people to do is to go back to what they wanted to be when they were younger, write down the character traits. Like part of it, being in front of the room might have been having some expertise to share that somebody would finally listen to you. Maybe people didn't really listen to you when you were younger. We're not going to get into the whole psychological stuff that was going on, but it's definitely there. That's the subconscious stuff that we want to be aware of so that it's not carrying through in our business. You've worked through it, so it's great, whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But then the part of you that likes people figuring stuff out, that's the teacher part of you. And that is the main crux of your business.
Yes.
So you're creating from alignment, which is what the A is, alignment with your soul passion. So I'll give another, so anybody who's watching this, I would suggest go back to that, write down the character traits or what you think it was that was really why you wanted to do it, and then see how that translates into your business today. So I wanted to be an actress, and then I became an actress actually and didn't like it. But what I love doing is motivating people through story. It's my favorite thing. I was just telling Megan that I've cleared my schedule, so I'm only going to have calls 2 days a week because I'm ready to do a podcast. I'm ready to start storytelling because I love whenever I do Facebook Lives, I motivate people through stories. So you go back to then, and if that's in your business model, then you know that you're pretty much aligned with your soul or whatever you want to call it, aligned with your business. I'm not woo-woo, so I don't give a shit, care what people call. I'm not going to curse on Megan's live. I curse on mine. But think about that. And then what happens is if somebody pops up that they're doing such and such and blah, 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 you go back and remember who you are, that alignment. And it doesn't, you don't get distracted. You're like, that's great that blah, blah, blah is doing that. I'm not doing that. And you get an authentic voice. This also helps you with Facebook Lives. It allows you to talk about something you're really passionate about. So I'll stop there and before I go on to the next part, just to see if there's anything you want to say.
No, I love it. I think that what we've kind of allowed ourselves to do is get into a bad habit of constantly turning to, whether it's the phone or the social media or TV, anything. And I think we just have such a bad habit of always checking that thing. And then, I don't believe that most people are like making a conscious choice to go, let me go scroll around and see what everybody else is up to so I can go compare myself. But subconsciously, it's happening every single second that we're allowing ourselves to go do the activity, which is, in my opinion, just a really bad habit. But then it's just like so playing with our heads. And I think what it does is in a way, it almost like intervenes, and then we forget who we really are.
Yeah. We
forget what that authentic voice is. Do you have anything that you could share on someone who may feel like, how do I find that authentic voice? How do I find that authentic message in myself? Like, I know it's there, I know it's somewhere, but like, how do I identify it? How do I put my finger on it?
Yeah, so that's the next part of it. But I want to go back to something you said before I go in, because I know that you're getting ready to teach people how to create a product that's really aligned with their soul and their heart.
Yeah.
And this is when people create products and it falls flat, it's because they probably created it based on an outside opinion, not on their own heart and soul. And it doesn't mean you have to throw the product out. It means that you need to look at it and say, what am I passionate about in this, or what am I not passionate about with it? Because then it allows you to speak about it in a much more authentic way. And then the other thing too is you just always want to be creating. A lot of us teach from our own life experience. No matter what kind of coach we are, we're putting our own life experience into it and teaching from that place. And if we're creating products from that place, we're speaking to the people that relate and the audience that relates to us. So the next part of this is the third S, which is soul ignition. It's igniting our soul. And I actually have a gift for everybody, and it's MarilynAlauria.com/exercise. And I'm sure Megan will put it in the comments, and I will too. But one of the things that I really want people to do, and I'm going to play this with Megan right now, is to go back to your joy. What brings you joy? And you may not have any idea why walking the dog or riding your bicycle or planting in your garden has to do with your business, but it does. So I don't remember your initial question. I'm sorry. But if you remember, it'd be great. If not, just tell me what brings you joy, and I could bring it back to why that ignites the light in your soul, gives you stuff to talk about, which automatically brings people wanting to know how to work with you.
Okay,
and
cool.
All of this is authentic. I don't do anything but authenticity. Like, I'm not interested.
I love it. This is all perfect. The question was, how do I find my authentic voice and my authentic message? Okay. So what do I like doing for fun that brings me joy? A couple of things. I love riding my bike. I love how I can go faster. I can see the sights around me. I love to explore. I love the wind in my face. I love the physicality of it. I love doing it with my family more than I like doing it by myself. So like, that is one of my most favorite things to do. The other thing I love to do, which I haven't done this a lot, you might get on to me about this, but I love playing tennis. And I know you play tennis too. I started playing tennis when I was 5, and I played competitively until I was 18. So playing tennis, like, you want to see me in my joy and in like my most authentic self, like all the parts and pieces, put me on a tennis court and it all comes out. And I love being by the water. So like I can walk to the water here, like the ocean from my house, and ride my bike. But I love to walk from my house down to the water. I love to be by the water, on the sand, breathing it in, being outside in nature, but specifically near the water. So those are like my top 3.
Okay, so one of the things that I'd say first before I ask Megan another question is, those are the moments in time that reconnect us with our truth, with who we are and why we do what we do. So we may have no idea why Megan riding a bicycle has anything to do with helping people grow a business, but it has everything to do with it. Because as entrepreneurs, we get to do those things. That's one of the big things. We're creating a business that allows us to live, like I live out in nature and hiking trails, and I changed my entire life and I can live wherever I want. So that's one of the things. But now I'm going to ask another question. The question you had was, how does this bring us to our authentic voice and our authentic truth? Is that what the question was? Before I answer it, what do you think bicycle riding, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and being on the tennis court has to do with your authentic voice? What do you think it has to do with your authentic voice?
I mean, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is freedom. Like, I feel the most free to be myself, especially on a tennis court. I mean, because I did that so many years. Full expression. So it's like fully expressing self. And then the other thing I know about myself, I am most myself when I'm in my body, like moving my body and using my body.
Okay. What's the name of your free Facebook group?
Structured Freedom for Impact-Driven Coaches. Freedom! Oh my gosh, there it is.
So it gives you something to talk about. And the more, like, what I would suggest you to do, Megan, the next time you're out riding your bike with your family, really think about a metaphor for business owners. How is the experience you're having about watching the things go by? How is that going to be a formula or an idea or innovative idea for your students to learn something, because I can guarantee that you're already doing it, but you're not conscious of it. And when you marry all parts of yourself, one, you're just like, I'm getting so many chills. You're just living bliss. You're living the business you want to be living. And when something goes off in your business, you recognize it right away before you're down the rabbit hole. And the other thing is, it gives you something to talk about that makes you real and human and relatable.
Yeah.
And your audience is the audience you want to serve. They're attracted to that because they're creating the same thing. So that's why I tell people, that's why the exercise is going to be really good. It's going to teach you what you love in your life and what you don't. And like for me personally, I love teaching through stories. So my hiking trails, or how I got my house, or how I got these certain things, I'm constantly teaching, because I teach about believing in something bigger than ourselves, like guides, God, universe, whatever you guys believe in. I don't really care. But I teach about how leaning into an unseen energy and your own dreams allows you to propel yourself in the future, allows you to create the life that you desire. So my life experience gets weaved into those stories, into my lessons, and it makes it so much more electrifying than a flat line conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes. And, I think that people have a hard time finding that voice and finding that message when they're doing nothing but constantly working inside their business. Like one of the questions that my husband, Sean's a certified high performance coach, and he's really big on living life, and you better have hobbies. And so he'll come into my programs every once in a while, and everybody's a business owner, and he loves to ask this question: what's your hobby? I would say 90% of people say, my business is my hobby. And I'm like, but no wonder you're not coming up with like really fiery content and stories. And usually that person is also the same one who asks questions like, how do I keep coming up with content? I don't know what to say. I don't have anything to write about. And I'm like, it's because you're not living. It's because you're not allowing yourself to have like these passionate experiences that you're talking about. And then the mind goes to, and I would love to hear you talk about this, Marilyn. The mind goes to, but that doesn't make me money. But like playing tennis, and I know you play tennis, you do yoga, you do hiking, you've got your dogs, like you do all kinds of things. And you also have a multiple six-figure-a-year business. And you've got a team that you're running. Like, strategy and tactic and running a business and running a team like nobody's business. But you also go live life. But what is this thing that people have around, I can't go do anything for fun, or like go play tennis or go do yoga or go ride a bike or whatever, because that doesn't make me money. So I'll do that when I make money. But that's the very thing that's going to make them make more money.
Totally. And that's the answer. What?
I want to hear you talk about that. Like, what is that about? Like, people think that I can't do my hobbies because it's not going to make me money.
Yeah, because that's a formulaic way of thinking, and that's a habit. That brings us back to the first S, which is subconscious thinking, that if we're lazy or we're not doing enough or whatever the experience is. And that's why when I say to people, what do you love to do? And they're like, one of the answers was, I like walking my dog. How is that going to make me money? I'm like, you don't need to worry about that, because we're going to talk about the last S, which is synchronicity. So I'll explain this in a second. But mainly what happens, and Megan knows this too, what happens for me personally is I get so excited to work into my business because I'm not going to work 40 hours a week. I'm working about 16 to 20 hours a week. And sometimes a little bit more, because Megan and I were talking how we're working weekends right now and everything because it's shelter in place. But all of that is creating what I love to do. And all that I love to do is creating my business. So it becomes this beautiful little energy that's feeding each other. And if you're not doing the joyful things, your business is going to become taxing, exhausting, knocking you down. You're not going to be able to create. It's like you're not going to be able to create products, because if you're not in the joy of what your life is, you can't bring that joy into your product. So your product is just going to be this. It's only going to have a one-dimensional side of you in it. So it's so super important. But I want to talk about one last thing, and I hope that answers it, because you have to be a full human being. And it's interesting as Sean asked that question, because when I was an actress, this is where it came up for me. I would go into commercial auditions and they'd be like, what's your hobbies? But I had none. And I'd make them up in the room. And I really realized I never booked a commercial, and I probably never booked a commercial because I was living so like this in my business.
Wow.
And it wasn't like, that was such a great experience. And the more that I enjoy my life, the more my business, because you know what else happens to us? A lot of our clients and students see how we're living and they want to have that kind of life.
Yeah.
And we're here teaching them the freedom, the structured freedom to help you to have that life. Yeah. And that's what being an entrepreneur is. But let me say this last part, and I want to hear what Megan says. The last S is synchronicity. Synchronicity is when whatever you believe in, I really, really have a lot of respect for whatever people believe in. Megan knows this. I'm not woo-woo at all. And I really respect it. But opportunity shows up when you're having fun. Yes. And if you're doing this in your business, you're not going to see the opportunity that the universe is bringing. And the universe doesn't know how to bring the opportunity because the universe is like, well, I don't know what she likes to do. She likes to stay home and just work all day. So, you know, right. So, but when you're out doing your joyful stuff, the universe is like, I got it. I know what she wants more of. We're going to give her an opportunity that's going to allow her to have a tennis court and own her own house with a tennis court. Let's bring that in now. And that's when the synchronicity starts showing up. And because we're in joy, the blinders are off. I call them brackets. We put brackets on our dreams. The brackets are off. We're living our life, and then opportunity starts coming in, and we're able to grab it. Because you know why, Megan? We're in our joy. We're not afraid. We're not in our fear. We're not in our limitation or our scarcity. We're in abundance. We're in joy. And we're like, even if you're afraid of that opportunity, I can do it. I know I can do it.
I love it. I actually just made a post maybe like 3 days ago. This is on my personal page here on Facebook. And it was something like, nobody buys from someone who's boring. Yeah. Be interesting and also be interested in other people. And it's so true. I mean, I think we can all, no matter, again, it's like no matter what we believe in, but I think at times in our businesses, all of us have gotten to this place, whether it was a few weeks or a few months or a few years, where we did just put our head down and we were just working on the business. And then you lift your head up one day, and I know this was the case for me, and it's like, wow, my kid didn't have a mom during that time. My husband did not have a true partner during that time. I wasn't even taking care of myself during that time. Lost friends during that time just because you just stopped keeping up with each other. Not because there's any animosity, but like you just lose touch. You realize like, I haven't done my hobby in 5 years. And it's like, do I even know what I want? Do I even know what I like? And it's like people just put the stopper on experiences. And we're not having experiences. And business is just like one piece of the whole pie. Like there's a whole other life out there outside of the business. But for whatever reason, and I think to your point, it's a lot of subconscious beliefs. We have this idea that we've got to be a workhorse. Yeah. And we've got to work harder to make more money. We have to work harder to be successful, or it's a badge of honor, or it's a pride thing, or I don't know what it is. But when we operate that way, we're letting life kind of pass us by. And we're going to wake up one day wishing we had followed the path of synchronicity and passion and clarity and abundance. And it's,
well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just,
go ahead.
It's already available. Like, that's what I think too. It's like a lot of what people believe, and I believed it at one time as well. It's like all that stuff is down the road. Like I've got to be successful in my business and make the money, and then I can have those things. But all of that is accessible right now. It's all there. And I think to your point, everybody's like looking outside of themselves for these answers instead of just tuning in within and what lights them up. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, what you said, there's a couple of things, and I hope I can remember them, but one of them in particular is, right, when you become an entrepreneur, you no longer have a boss above you telling you what to do, what the goals are, where to go. So you become even harder on yourself. Yeah. I'm going to put my nose down. I'm going to make sure that I'm working all the time. And that isn't interesting at all. And then, like I said, that's limitation. That is total limitation and fear consciousness. And then the universe just brings you more like crap. And you're like, why does everything keep happening to me? That just stinks. Yeah. And I did the same thing as Megan. My head was down. And when I lifted my head up, I was really depressed. I was really stuck and trapped. And yeah, my business was doing well, but I didn't like it anymore. I didn't even want to have any part of it. And when I started recognizing how much I had to incorporate a full life and how much that shifted, it's been so great. And the other thing I will say, and I agree with what you're saying, there are two more things real quick. I'm attracted to the entrepreneur that has a full life. Now, I'm a single woman who doesn't have kids, and I tend to see a lot of entrepreneurs, especially men, portrayed as the family man, the kids, and I'm usually the one in the room that they're talking about, you can really be well with your family. And I'm like, well, I'm the single one telling you, you can have a full life too. But like, it's so important to me. I'm still attracted to them because they're having these full lives. They're showing that. And then the other thing it gives you, all of this gives you, is something to talk about. So when people say to me, they're struggling with what content to share or create or Facebook Lives, when you're smack dab in your life and living from the light of your soul, the light of your heart, you're not missing opportunities to have something to talk about. Something's happening every single day that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And you relate it to your business. So it's great.
Well, and you have to be available to give yourself that opportunity and that experience to actually have something to talk about every day.
I agree.
I mean, if you're not out there choosing, because it's a daily choice, like we all have choices, like we all have the choice. We could sit here behind our computer all day long and stay in our, I mean, I know now is like an interesting time because we stay in our house, but you can still walk outside and breathe, get some fresh air. But we have a choice. And I think that we've got to choose the opportunity to go out and live life and go back to those things that we used to love. Like I hear it all the time, and I know you do too, because it's why people work with you. But you know, you'll ask somebody like, what did you love to do that you just like put away in such a drawer? And the number of people who you don't realize are artists or singers or painters or dancers, or they played a sport. And it's like, it's almost like they just shut down that part of their soul and they put it away, and they're not even allowing themselves to tap into that. But based on what you're saying, like the visual I'm getting is like, it's almost like that's like it's like if you had a match and that would be the flame. That would be the flame that would ignite your whole entire business if you would just let yourself go back and do that. It's like why coaches sometimes, but you see this a lot with business coaches who are available to this. The guidance they'll give their clients, like, you just need to go have fun. Like there's no strategy or tactic here or step-by-step anything. Like you're just not having fun. Like, could you please go have fun? Like go find something that you can have fun with every single day. That's your assignment. Like that's what's going to grow your business.
Yeah. And it's funny you said match, because that's in my program that has the SAS formula. It's all about igniting the light in your soul. And we talk, that's the third level, which is the ignition, you know, and, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be the dancer today, the artist, but you can't shut that side down. Business is creative. And when what we love about our businesses is the creativity part of it.
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues I had, so I was a line producer for TV. I was an actor. I like to write, but I compartmentalized everything. I didn't think that all this, I was a psychic. I didn't think all this thing could work together. And one of my friends said to me, you need to like put all of that together. And she was right. Once I took the lids off the boxes and I just threw them in a pile together, now I'm doing all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's, and that makes me so much more, that's for me called 360 living. That's when you're living fully.
Yeah.
And that's when your business takes on a whole different light.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So for our listeners here who are thinking like, okay, what do I do next with this? Can you share 1, 2, 3, either steps or practices or tips or ideas that people could go ahead and implement immediately right now?
Okay, definitely the exercise that I shared. Have them do that, because that's pretty huge, pretty big. So the first thing that I would have everybody do is think of a dream that they have right now, a big, big dream for their business, what they want. And write down any beliefs that is keeping them from having that dream, any kind of beliefs. Don't worry about healing them. Don't worry about going into them. Just write down any limiting beliefs that you have. Then I want you to do this exercise that I have here, because it's going to really get you in touch with your joy. And then when you do this exercise, I want you to do 1 to 3 of them a day. 1 to 3 of them a day. So if that's going to help you to get into your soul. Everything I do is about the soul. So get into your soul and to live a life from the seat of your soul, the seat of your soul and the seat of your soul. And that's going to help you to look at those beliefs, and you're going to realize they aren't true. But it's not, people think they have to look at the block and just study it to get, you can't, you have to live your life in order to release those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So those are 3 things I would say.
The thing I want to add to this too, that I know we see a lot of people doing this. We do it ourselves with different things, but it's also about maintaining this type of a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about like, just go do the exercise and do it one day, or like do it for a week, or do it for a month. It's the same thing with mindset work and belief system work. You know, if anybody follows like Joe Dispenza or John Assaraf, like those guys teach this stuff, but they also, and they've been teaching it for 30 years, they've also been doing it 365 days a year for 30 years. Just because they did it once or like mastered the craft doesn't mean that they get to a place where it's like, oh, I don't have to do it anymore. So, I mean, with what you're teaching, Marilyn, it's not about just go, you know, it's like every day for the rest of the year, every day next year, go do this exercise, because that's really where the magic is. And, you know, it's easy enough to just get started. I think where people have a hard time is maintaining it.
Yeah.
But make it a non-negotiable. Make it a non-negotiable.
What's interesting is Megan, I know we're running out of time, but she talked about SIP being in place, and she said, still get outside. My life hasn't changed that much. I'm still did yoga this morning. I still got up, journaled, walked the dogs, meditated, did yoga, and I'll hike at the end of my day. And the only thing I'm not getting to do is to play tennis. And I'm okay with that because I had some injuries that needed to heal, you know, so I'm all right. And I'm not a big extrovert either. You know, I don't go to like things like restaurants all the time and stuff like that. So my life is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. So it is a habit. It's something you do every single day. And just because a traumatic experience happens in life, that's when you pick those habits up even more, because they keep you balanced. That's why my business, like I'm like growing my business now, because one, I can focus on it. I'm on playing tennis. And number two, it's just, I can see the need. I can see the need for what I teach. And that's what, like, I know Megan, anybody who studies with Megan, like I just sent someone to her, they're so lucky, because she is going to make sure she cares so much that you're really getting in there and live and coming from the middle of you, the center of yourself, when you're creating a business, not a false business. You want a business that you're going to sustain for years, that you're going to grow and evolve with. Like my business, I know that I'm shifting again, but the model's pretty much there. Yeah. It's just shifting it a little bit different, expanding it a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. So I love it. I love it. Everyone, go download the exercise. I'm going to put it on our screen one more time. We'll put it in the comments as well. So go download that exercise and go have some fun and get back to your soul and back to your truth. Marilyn, thank you so much for being here. This was I love our conversation today. We got to do it often.
I know. I need to have you on my business page now.
Totally. Awesome. Yeah. All right, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome.
Is it off yet? It doesn't say it's off yet.